So today we're gonna combine meat, salt and heat. We're gonna make a real fun dish called Lomo altrapo. So what is that, you may ask? Well, actually it's a traditional way of cooking beef tenderloin with salt in the direct fire. It's kind of a caveman style way of cooking. And that's what we're going to do today, but we're going to use some really coarse salt. We're going to bake it in like the meat, pack it in with salt, moisten it up, and then cook it right over the glowing embers. That locks in the moisture. It's going to be real good in the end. So let's get to prepping the meat. But I'm going to do a twist on this because I don't have beef tenderloin. Instead, I thought it would be fun to cook with a pork loin. So not pork tenderloin, but pork loin. Pork loin is basically, it's boneless pork chops, really. If you cut off the bone, that's what you get, the middle piece, so to speak. So we're going to get one large hunk of meat, good quality pork. It's very traditional or available in general here in Sweden, very common, very cheap. Doesn't have that much flavor unless you get a good cut, and I managed to secure a really good cut today, so that's what we're going to do, cook it with salt. So, but let's get to prepping. Now for fire, I'm going to use the kettle, basically because it's the easiest way to get this done, but you might as well use the firebox in your offset smoker. Any old grill will work, or plain old firewood right on the ground. That's the beauty of this. You don't need much equipment. But I'm going to start piling up some charcoal. That looks good. Now I'm going to light some charcoal in the chimney, and we're going to add that on top to get a real good fire going. Well, while we're waiting for the fire to come up to temp, get a good glow, we're gonna take a look at that pork loin. Now this is what it looks like, real good. I'm exceptionally happy that I found it, because if you flip it over, ooh, nice. See, a big old fat cap. Fat's good, that means flavor, so we're gonna keep this one for sure. No trimming at all. But now we're gonna roll it up in a good layer of salt. I'll show you how. Now, as the name implies, to protect the meat from the heat, we're going to have to use some kind of wrapping. In this case, we're going to use quite a bit of coarse sea salt, which I have here, a whole bucket full, really good stuff. Also, I'm going to use, well, traditionally an old kitchen towel or any kind of towel works. I didn't have one around, at least not one that I want to waste, because whatever you wrap this with is going to burn when you place it in the fire. So that's going to be effectively disposable. I did file an old bed linen, torn to pieces, washed of course, so I'm going to use this one. Put it out like on a cutting board like that. We're going to cover it with like ½ inch of salt, coarse salt, like a mat if you like, and then roll it up and truss it. So to protect the meat from the heat, we're going to use a thick layer of salt and a kitchen towel. So that's going to be really good. It's a real nice way of locking in all the moisture. So here I have my towel on a cutting board. I'm just going to spray it down with some plain old tap water, moisten it up a bit. We're going to do that on the outside too. And now we're going to get a good layer of salt on here. So the salt's going to form a crust when we cook it. It's going to lock in moisture, and it's going to protect the meat from burning, since we're placing it right in the fire. And this is a good way of cooking thicker cuts of meat. That's looking good. I think I got it to where I want it. Now we're going to get the pork loin up here. That's looking good. Now I'm just going to roll it like this, keep turning it over. Actually, I'm going to move it in a bit to get some more salt on this side. There you go. pull it back just a bit, flip the ends in so we're locking it in good. Ah, that's nice. And now that we have a neat little package, I'm gonna truss it with some butcher's twine. Make sure the whole thing stays together. Again, this is gonna burn, so we're gonna cut that off when it's done, but still, it's good protection and it keeps the salt in place. Alright, so here we have a neat little package wrapped in salt. Now, a few words about the salt. This is just wrapped, that means it's going straight onto the grill. Don't leave it like this for a few hours, it's going to be way too salty. So now we're going to drop it right into the fire. Oh, before I forget, I said I was going to moisturize the outside. I'm going to add some water to this one too. So basically means it's not going to burn within the first 5 minutes. Alright, that should do it. To the grill. So there's a nice fire going. I'm just going to place this right here. I'm going to put the lid back on for the first 10 minutes and then we're going to flip it a few times. Just like that, leaving a good gap here so the fire is breathing fully. So this is cooking, it's looking good. The towel or sheet I used is starting to darken. It's going to burn in a while, but that's okay. We're going to flip it a few times. We're going to leave it 5-10 minutes and then we'll turn it upside down and keep turning a few times. So when is it done? Well, actually we're going to check with the thermal pen, my trusted thermometer. In this case, for pork loin, I'm aiming for 62 Celsius, which is 144 Fahrenheit. But the trick is now we have a really hard crust in the form of salt. That's going to lock in moisture, so we're going to have to take it off the grill way sooner and let the carryover cook it till done. That's the trick. So in this case I'm going to take it off when it's 45 Celsius, which is 113 Fahrenheit. That's like a whopping 17 degrees before done, but we're going to move it off to the cutting board. I'm just going to let it rest and the carryover heat is going to bring it up to the done temp. Hopefully I'll succeed, we'll see in a while. Alright, I think it's time for the first flip. Just going to use my gloves here. That's looking good though. Just keep at it. Putting the lid back on for the next 5. What I put the lid on is because I want that oven effect. Time to do a third flip. Moving it over just a bit. And give it another 5. So it's been on for 15-20 minutes. Time for a quick temp check. I see the case has opened just a bit, so I'm gonna poke the thermopen in. We're at 42, 44, 43. I think I'm actually going to take it now because that's very close to the first pull it off the grill temp, and then I'm going to let the carryover heat bring it all the way home. So time to grab it. There it is. You can still see it's steaming and cooking, so I'm going to leave it here for at least 20 minutes. Now it's been resting for 5 minutes, but it's still carryover heat. But the nice thing is now all the butcher's twine is burnt off and most of the towel I used, so now we just have a thick salt crust, which we're going to have to crack open, and that's going to be, I think, the piece de resistance when you serve it, actually, to crack this open on the table and start slicing the meat right on the cutting table. That's going to be a nice way to present food. All right, so 15-minute rest, time to check temps. Where am I? 60, 59, 60 in the middle. Oh, that's pretty darn good. 55. Depends. I don't want to poke all the way through to the end because then I'm going to get the incorrect reading. When you cook it like this, you're going to get real hot on the outside and then a bit less cooked in the middle. So quite the opposite of the reverse sear method. But this is a real nice way of cooking, so I think I can live with that, and also the presentation. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes and then we're going to slice it. All right, I think it's time to crack this baby open. Check it out. This is where the fat cap was. I'm gonna flip it over so you can see it. That's looking good. All right, managed to get rid of the mess, but this is what it looks like. Really nice pork. Now, of course, I'm gonna scrape off some of that coarse salt here with the back of my knife. It's gonna be a bit too salty to eat, but it's looking real good. As you can see here, there's quite a bit of crust on the outside where the fire got to it, but overall not that traditional pork you're used to, but it's going to be tasty for sure and cooked just right. Yeah, that's looking good. I think it's time to slice this baby. All right, let's see what this is all about. Oh, that's looking good. See, that's super juicy, real good. And that's the benefit of cooking like this, is that you lock in moisture. Absolutely stunning. I'm gonna have to try a slice here, see what it's like. So good. With that fat cap, really tasty. Just gonna add some lime juice to top it all up. See, I need to work on my bartender skills. And some more lime. Lime is good. Pork loves citrus, so let's try another one. Oh, that lime really complements the meat in a great way. I could be standing here eating pork loin all day. As you could see, it's not a tricky cook. It's quite easy. Just wrap it in with coarse sea salt. Use an old kitchen towel, or like I used, like a pull off an old bed linen that was going to waste anyway. Fun way of cooking. You can do it like outdoors, of course, and like any old camping site when you arrive and they don't have a good enough pit. This is a nice way of cooking. The only trick, of course, is pulling it off and then letting the carryover heat bringing it up to the target temp. This type of cooking works with pork loin, beef tenderloin, and other big cuts of meat. All right, I'm gonna dig into this pork loin. It's just superb. Again, fun way of cooking. Try that at home. If you like the video, give me 2 thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys next episode.